Well, good afternoon. Welcome back to Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. I am Sandy. If you haven't been to my channel before, if you have, make sure you subscribe, like, share with the world. Well, I am in the November noodle collaboration. Big shout out to Tony at Kettle Kitchen. And I will have the link below so that you could actually watch all the recipes from all the different channels. I think every day 2 channels upload their favorite noodle recipe. Now I am making my noodles, a Chinese noodle, and then I am making what they call big plate chicken. And if I can pronounce it right in Chinese, it's da pan ji. So I hope I did that correctly. I just think of it as big plate chicken. It is fabulous. And the nice thing about it, besides the noodles being fabulous, is that you can change up the sauce a little bit. You can do a little bit of things with that. You can add whatever vegetables that you are growing in your garden or you have in your kitchen. And I love Chinese food. Now, a lot of times we have rice with our Chinese food. Fried rice, steamed rice. But when was the last time you had a good noodle with your Chinese food? Let's go make some da pan ji. Big plate chicken. For the marinade, we're going to use the chicken thighs, 1 teaspoon of soy sauce, avocado oil, corn starch, 2 teaspoons of Braggs Aminos. And we're going to chop those chicken thighs up to bite-sized pieces. Now, I'm taking the skin off, but I am not going to throw that away. I'm actually going to fry that up so I can get the grease from it, and that is what I'm going to saute some of my vegetables and the chicken. And see, I just want to get bite-sized pieces, and that will be perfect, and I'm going to put them in a glass bowl. Now, to make the marinade, I have the soy sauce, the amino acids, and basically, it doesn't make very much. I'm just going to add those in. There goes the Braggs, and I like Braggs more than I like soy sauce, and so in my recipe, that's what I use. And I love avocado oil. I don't like canola oil in my Chinese food. And the cornstarch is just going to make it adhere to the chicken pieces. So I'm just going to pour that on. And then I'll just mix it up. Now I want those all completely coated. And they're going to be in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes. If they're in there longer, that's okay. It's just going to marinate that chicken more. You could do it the night before. Now for the noodles, 2.5 cups of flour, bread flour if you can find it, a 1/4 teaspoon salt, and 1 1/4 cups of water. I like to add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. It helps with that gluten, and I just think it gives a better noodle. So I have my mixer. I have 2.5 cups of flour in there. I'm going to mix the salt with it so it's really incorporated before I add the water to it. And so I've added half of the water and the apple cider vinegar. I'm going to mix it a little teeny bit more. I don't want to add my water too quickly. I'm going to make my mixer do all the work. You could do this by hand. That would not be a problem. But I want to get it so that it goes into that ball. Now, when it gets into the ball, it's going to be very sticky, for one thing. And you could hand do it from there on. But I'm actually just going to put my kneading down in there in the bowl again. And I'm going to knead it for 10 minutes. Then I'm going to put a bowl over there for about 30 minutes. Just let it rest. If it's sticky, the water will absorb into the dough. Now I rolled it out, and then I just folded it and folded it again. So it's 4 layers. I'm taking a sharp knife, and I am just going to cut those very thinly. Now I always think I can cut them 1/8 of an inch. I never can cut them 1/8 of an inch. It just never happens. Now when you start to pull them apart, they can be sticky. So what is the trick to make that so it doesn't get sticky? You can just sprinkle them with flour. So I'm going to grab the flour and I'm going to sprinkle them, because otherwise they want to rip apart. But if you sprinkle a little bit of flour on there, they just come apart beautifully. Now they are long noodles. If you don't want the long noodles, you could always cut them. You wouldn't have to fold it and fold it again. You could just slice sections and have 2 or 3 inch noodles. I just happen to like the big noodles. Totally up to you. But see how with that flour, it just becomes perfect. Here they all are. I cut that whole section up. They all have some flour on there, and I am having my water boil. So I'm just going to start dumping those in there. Now, depending on how thick you cut your noodles, you want a noodle, when it's done, it should be still firm and chewy, but it should taste like noodles. I like to put some salt in there, and sometimes I'll put either onion salt or garlic salt in the water, and that will help it. It took about, actually because mine were a little thick, it took about 6 minutes to boil. Then I'm going to strain those all out so that there's no excess water. And you can always test your noodles. Just break some apart. So there they all are. So we are putting 3 to 4 Anise Stars, 2 cinnamon sticks, and 1 teaspoon of each. Ginger, chili pepper, regular pepper, soy sauce, and Braggs Aminos again. 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 4 to 6 garlic cloves. Now, there's a side note here. You do not have to add chili peppers in there. You could add regular peppers, but we would do that later. Here we are with all of our different things. There's the ginger, the cinnamon sticks, the garlic, the Anise Stars, regular pepper. I have 2 tablespoons of regular sugar, the amino acids, and the soy sauce. I'm also going to have garlic. Now for the vegetables, this really depends on what's in your refrigerator, but always about 2 potatoes. I had mushrooms, so I threw mushrooms in, 2 stalks of celery, a half an onion, and I like Chinese food with crushed pineapple. It's just something I like, so I add that. You don't have to add that. Totally up to you. But here I'm chopping everything up. I'm trying to get those thinly. I added some celery also. You can see the potatoes, the onions, and there is my pineapple, because I like pineapple in there. Now remember, I fried those skins of the chicken. So I have some grease in the bottom of that pan. If you have a wok, use a wok. I don't happen to have a wok down here. So I'm putting the cinnamon and the anise seeds, the chili peppers, the ginger. You could use sliced ginger also. Sugar, the pepper. And what I want to do, I'm putting it on about medium-low. I don't want to burn it, but I do want that sugar to melt. So I'm just going to keep stirring it. I added the garlic in there now. And see how it's just coating, melding those flavors together to make it scrumptious. And mine is a little spicy. After I have that, I'm going to add the chicken. I'm going to turn it up high, and I want to just sear the chicken. And so I just turn that up, and it's going to cook quickly. And I'm not actually trying to cook the chicken. I'm just trying to start it to brown and to coat it with all those spices in there. See how it's starting to get that way? Yeah, beautiful. I'm going to leave the cinnamon sticks and the anise seeds in there basically until it's done. I want all those flavors to start melding together. So I think it's a close. I don't really think I have to have too much stirring, but one of the things you'll notice is that it wants to stick to the bottom, so you want to be able to scrape that off. I'm going to add the onions, and then I'm going to add all the vegetables, other than if I had bell peppers, because I would add that at the very end when it's basically done. There's the pineapple in there. My soy sauce and Braggs Aminos are going in there. And then I'm going to add 3 cups of water. There's two cups there. Now see how it stopped the boiling action because I added the water. There's another cup. And I'm going to have it about medium to medium high. And I'm going to cover it. And I want that to cook down so it's about half the liquid. And because there is cornstarch coated on the chicken, it will start to get thicker too. There's some of this stuff that's stuck. I'm just going to put that back in there and let it dissolve itself. I'm just going to let the potatoes cook, the celery, the onions, and just let it meld together. Now, is that starting to get beautiful? It's almost ready. And so we have our noodles done. We have our chicken almost done. You want to make sure your chicken is always done, and that's why we did the bite-sized pieces. So here it is on top of some of the noodles. That's how I like to eat it. But Joe likes things mixed together. And so I took the rest of the noodles, I put them into the pan, and I just mixed it up. And any leftovers, we can put it in a bowl, heat it up tomorrow. Now, is that yummy or what? Now, I have a strict rule. If I am going to eat Chinese, I'm using chopsticks. Joe doesn't adhere to this rule. But I think it's important. But to each his own. Make sure that you check out all the other noodle recipes this month. I hope you have a fabulous Thanksgiving tomorrow. And I'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.